This news update is brought to you by
I'm happy. Now I'm gonna take my time. I'm happy. Enjoying myself with lime. I'm happy. Escape from reality. Yay! And let lime take care of me. We're just happy and smiling. Doing almost anything. Having fun and just living. Shopping, chilling, everything.
Get happy with Barbados' largest and fastest 4G network. Activate any Lime prepaid or postpaid mobile plan today.
This is the Barbados Today morning news update for Friday, November the 14th, 2014. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Good morning. Prime Minister Frandel Stewart has been asked to urgently intervene to save the sugar industry from disaster. The call comes in the light of startling revelation made last week by Minister of Agriculture Dr. David Estwick in an interview with Barbados Today that virtually all major investors had pulled out of the government's $250 million sugar industry restructuring program, which was set to get going in January next year. The Barbados Sugar Industry Limited, which represents independent farmers, is worried about the impact on its members as well as the future of the sector. It has therefore joined with the Barbados Workers' Union in calling on the Prime Minister to step in. Historian Dr. Henderson Carter has warned that the poor in Barbados cannot emerge from their state of economic deprivation without free university education. Delivering a lecture Wednesday night in celebration of the 375th anniversary of the Parliament, the University of the West Indies lecturer said there could be no mistaking the impact free education has had on Barbadian society. The historian, whose comments come on the heels of the government's recent introduction of tuition fees for UWI students, traced the early struggle that led to Parliament's approval of free education in the 1960s. He was also insistent that Barbadians deserved free education because their foreparents had fought hard for it. Scotiabank, which last week announced plans to close 35 branches and cut 10% of its Caribbean employees over the next 2 years, says no decision has been taken so far on the number of layoffs in Barbados. The Canadian-based financial institution was responding to a statement made by the president of the Human Resource Management Association of Barbados, Glenda Gills, who in an interview with Barbados Today commented directly on the bank's restructuring plans.
I don't have numbers on the top of my head right now, but I know that, for example, Scotiabank with branches across Barbados, certainly you're concerned about that because that could be more than 200 people or more. And those things concern us because we don't have the jobs up there that would really pull those people in. So, again, I go back to make sure that people are retrained and retooled that they can go and either become their own manager or join another organization.
However, the bank said the figure used was purely speculative and not based on any factual information. Its statement also warned that unrealistic numbers could only cause unnecessary alarm. In sports now, Graydon Sealy are the 2014 champions of under-19 netball in Barbados. For the 5th consecutive year, the former Garrison Secondary emerged victors when they beat Springer Memorial in a too-close-for-comfort final of the Barbados Secondary Schools Under-19 Netball League played at the National Netball Stadium yesterday. Graydon Sealy won 33-31 with its national player Shanika Wharton top scoring with 23 points from 27 attempts. Goal attack Alyssa Bino scored 10 from 16 attempts. For the losing Springer girls, Shaquilla Smith top scored with 20 from 25 tries, while goal attack Kadisha Domingo followed with 11 points from 20 attempts. In the third place playoff, Combemere beat Parkinson 29-26. Combemere's national player Shaniqua Thomas got the most goals, 19 from 20 tries, while goal shooter Nicola Young hit 6 from 6 and Danica Payne 4 from 8. Parkinson's Nikita Davis top scored for her team with 22 from 27 attempts, and goal attack Tatiana Waldron 4 from 6.
There's regional and international news after this short break. The Barbados Food and Wine and Rum Festival, November 20th to 23rd. Taste the culinary delights of top local and international chefs like Marcus Samuelson, Anne Burrell, Tyler Florence, Roger Mooking, Michael Hines, Dane Sadler, Daphne's Restaurant, and more. The Barbados Food and Wine and Rum Festival, 5th edition, November 20th to 23rd. Visit foodwinerum.com or contact Premier Event Services Inc. at 435-0670. Get your tickets now at Wine World or TicketPal.com.
Welcome back with news from the region that the head of a police task force in Trinidad and Tobago, Inspector Roger Alexander, says a bounty should be placed on the head of a fugitive who has eluded officers for the past 2 weeks. Asmon Alexander, alias Papi and Apollon, is deemed to be the main suspect in the disappearance and murders of a family. Inspector Alexander says a bounty could help the police capture his namesake, who escaped from custody from the Mario Magistrates Court on January 31st after he appeared on charges of kidnapping and robbery. On the global front, Russia plans to send long-range bombers to the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean in what appears to be Moscow's latest provocative maneuver in its increasingly frosty relations with the West. Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu says Moscow has to maintain its military presence in the Western Atlantic and Eastern Pacific, as well as the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico, including sending bombers as part of the drills. It's an argument U.S. officials don't seem to buy.
These are quite dramatic announcements, aren't they, coming from Moscow, that Russia will resume Cold War-era flights across the Arctic from its bases there towards Alaska, and more flights down the west coast of the Western Atlantic, down the east coast, towards the Gulf of Mexico. It hasn't done these kinds of flights testing U.S. air defences since the end of the Cold War. They don't actually represent a military threat as such. In fact, think tanks that have been focusing on the upsurge in these kinds of flights in Europe, saying the biggest threat they represent is to civilian airliners as a possibility of a mid-air collision, because these military flights from Russia often don't use their in-flight transponders, their locators, nor do they communicate with ground control and air traffic control. And so they represent a danger in that sense. But again, the whole idea that Russia is resuming these Cold War-era flights gives us a pretty good picture of just how bad the relationship has become.
And finally, this story. The world's tallest man meets the world's shortest for the first time ever. They met yesterday at the 10th annual Guinness World Records Day in London, which celebrates record-setting achievements around the globe. They paused for their photos and stretched for an awkward handshake. The Guinness folks flew the two men, Sultan Kosin of Turkey and Chandra Bahadur Danji of Nepal, to London for the unique photo op. 31-year-old Kosin is a part-time farmer and measures 8 feet 3 inches tall and can reach a basketball hoop without jumping, while 74-year-old Danji is just 21.5 inches tall, and it is a weaver who also helps look after buffaloes and cows in his remote village.
Here to celebrate not just the 60th anniversary of Guinness World Records, but the 10th Guinness World Records Day. It's a special milestone for us, so we thought we'd do something very special, and we've united for the very first time the world's tallest living man and the world's shortest living man. So Chandra Dangi from Nepal, who's 21.5 inches, meets Sultan Kosin, who's 8 foot 3. They never met before, and it's quite a momentous occasion for us.
I'm happy to be here to help Guinness World Records celebrate their 60th anniversary. It's been lovely meeting Chandra here, and I hope that I'm able to come for many more anniversaries and celebrations.
Well, that's the long and short of it, and that's how we end our Barbados Today morning update. We'll be back again this afternoon. Until then, remember to log on to www.barbadostoday.bb. Subscribe to our e-paper and email updates, or like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Also tune into Channel 101 on Lime TV to get all the latest news and sports. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.
This news update is brought to you by
I'm happy. Now I'm gonna take my time. I'm happy. Enjoying myself with lime. I'm happy.
happy with Barbados' largest and fastest 4G network. Activate any Lime prepaid or postpaid mobile plan today.